Donald Trump is planning on running in 2024. We've heard multiple reports where he's hinting at it, where his allies are hinting at it. But he would have to do so without the support of Senator Bill Cassidy, who recently said in an interview with Axios that maybe Trump running is not such a great idea. Let's watch.
Assume President Trump runs in 2024?
He's certainly saying that he's going to. Whether he does or not, we don't know.
If he runs, he wins the nomination. If he,
I don't know that. President Trump is the first president in the Republican side, at least, to lose the House, the Senate, and the presidency in 4 years. Elections are about winning.
Oh, how do those big boy pants feel, Senator Cassidy? It's rare to hear Republican lawmakers speak out against Donald Trump. Maybe they're feeling emboldened by the fact that Trump can't bully them on Twitter, who knows? But he's not the only one. We'll get to your victory lap in a second, Cenk. But of course, there was Dave Rubin recently who told him to put his ego aside. And then also Asa Hutchinson, who is the governor of Arkansas, but also a Republican, who is concerned about some of the rhetoric coming from Donald Trump in regard to elections. Now, just as a quick reminder, he said, if we don't solve the presidential election fraud of 2020, which we have thoroughly and conclusively documented, Republicans will not be voting in 2022 or 2024. It is the single most important thing for Republicans to do. Well, Asa Hutchinson, along with many other Republican lawmakers, are concerned about that kind of rhetoric because it's discouraging GOP voters from voting. And so let's just watch a quick statement from Hutchinson on this very issue.
If we don't solve the presidential election fraud of 2020, his bizarre characterization, he claims, which we have thoroughly and conclusively documented, Republicans will not be voting in 22 and 24.
Relitigating 2020 is a recipe for disaster in 2022. Let's talk about the future. The election is passed. It's been certified. The states made decisions on the integrity of each of their elections and made improvements where need be. It's about the future. It's not about the last election, and that those kind of comments are not constructive. We can win in 2022, and we're going to, but let's focus on the important issues.
So there's Asa Hutchinson. He's a little more careful than Bill Cassidy was. Look, I don't know what the future holds for Donald Trump. I do know that Republican lawmakers typically are terrified of Trump's base because Trump is still incredibly popular with Republican voters. But that's a double-edged sword, especially if they enable Donald Trump, because what he's saying in regard to elections is actually hurting the Republican Party. It certainly hurt the Republican Party when it came to those 2 Georgia Senate runoff races. It discouraged people from showing up to the polls, clearing a path for the Democratic candidates to win. And so they're concerned about what this means for the future. And Trump's all about himself. He doesn't care about the Republican Party. So he's gonna keep whining about the 2020 election until, I don't know, he gets 20 more audits that maybe turn up even more votes for Joe Biden, who knows?
Yeah, so the rebellion has begun. I wonder if anybody had told you this was gonna happen before it happened.
Oh, you're gonna be unbearable about this, okay, fine.
All right, so let's watch this from the end of last week, and then I'll tell you why it's so important.
Guys, what is Dave Rubin thinking? The answer is always the same, nothing. He has no independent thought. He thinks whatever his donors tell him to think. So if he's out there talking against Trump, it's a guarantee that one of his funders told him to say that. Guys, you'll be able to tell if we're right or wrong. That's why we make predictions, etc. on the show, right? If you see now more politicians, because they're the other people like Prager and Rubin who are owned on the media, and almost all the Republican politicians are owned by the donors, the bankers, etc. If you see more and more of them coming out and saying, Donald Trump, he's great, he's wonderful, of course, the standard ass kissing, but maybe he should, let someone else do and be the elder statesman. You're gonna see that talking point more and more. And when you see it, then you'll be able to say, oh, they were right.
Okay, so now why do we show that other than unbearable bragging? So it's because so you understand how the system works. You can see this for yourself. So mainstream media will tell you certain things and then it never happens. They have their own version of alternative facts. Like, the establishment candidate will of course do better against against Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton loses. They say, oh, no. The next time around, establishment candidate is gonna do better. And so they just repeat the same talking points, whether they're true or untrue. Right-wing media obviously has insane talking points, right? In this case, when Rubin, who is, that's his trademark is being a lackey. Like, what do you need me to say? And he gets funded by large Republican donors, not investors, but donors, okay? So they give him big chunks of money and they go do what you needs to be done. If he's saying something, that means it got filtered down. The messages on the right wing always comes top down, right? So then they go to their donors and their politicians and now you see it. It unfolded just like we told you it would. Now Cassidy and Hutchinson dutifully, after talking to their donors, come out on television and tell you, well, this Trump guy, I don't know, take it or leave it, I don't know. And maybe we're better served with someone else. So look, that's really important for you to know because mainstream media is never going to tell you that these politicians are dishonest. That they're not like Chuck Todd, he can't have a conversation with him and say, oh, by the way, aren't you corrupt and just representing your corporate donors?
I mean, look, Cenk, that would require them to notice a pattern, right? You think they noticed Dave Rubin pulling a 180 on Donald Trump out of nowhere? They didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Right? You think they're gonna like connect these dots? Like this is one of the rare instances where I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt in that they're too stupid to notice the pattern and that therefore they're not gonna notice the money behind these sudden strong opinions against Donald Trump.
Yeah, and so fair enough, maybe they are ignorant of it.
Yeah.
But guys, if you think of it seriously, put aside intelligence, but if you've been covering news and politics for 20, 30, 40 years and you couldn't figure out who's actually making the decisions, doesn't speak that well of you. So now, what does this portend for the future? Well, there's a couple of reasons why they're upset. If Trump causes them to lose more elections like he did the Georgia Senate elections, for sure, well, they're gonna have less power to block more bills. And now they're worried, oh my God, Biden is actually doing things, at least threatening to do things that are halfway progressive. And
popular.
And they're like, now we're in a lot of trouble. Now Trump comes around and goes, oh, don't vote for Republicans. They're in a panic. So it puts the Republicans in a no-win situation. You're either gonna have to oppose your base by opposing Trump. This talk of like, oh, I don't know, he's a loser. I mean, Cassidy talking about how he's a loser now, right? Did you ever see him talking like that before? Did you see any Republican talking like that before? But now all of a sudden donors say something, they see oh my God, we're gonna lose some elections, we're gonna lose my own power. Trump's been a loser all this time anyway, we all knew that, right? And so that's why they're in the panic. And a new poll totally confirms that. 9% of Republicans in Georgia saying, 5% saying, we're definitely not gonna vote unless there's an audit. And 4% saying we're probably not going to vote if there's not an audit.
Yeah.
If you lose 9% of Republicans in Georgia, kiss your chances goodbye. You're already losing elections in Georgia.
Let me give you some other numbers because it is relevant, obviously. So a stunning New York Times report, for instance, reveals an alarming possibility that nearly 10%, for instance, of Georgia Republican voters could sit out the 2022 election unless the 2020 general election is audited again. And also a recent survey of Republican voters in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district found that 5% of Republican voters said that they would sit out the 2022 election if the state of Georgia did not conduct a forensic audit of the 2020 election. Another 4% said they would consider sitting out the election absent an audit. That's nearly 10% of Republicans that could sit out any election.
Yeah, but you know what? They're not gonna be able to stem this tide. It's impossible because they keep moving the goalposts. Because the Georgia actually already did 3 recounts.
Not enough.
And one of them was by hand. So they're like, what else do you want us to do? We want a forensic audit.
What does that even mean?
What does that mean? And who, like by whom? How much more forensic can it get than a hand recount of every single vote in Georgia done by Republicans? No, not good enough. So they're never gonna be able to satisfy that Frankenstein. And Frankenstein's gonna say, me, no vote for other Republicans, me. And now the other Republicans are like, maybe it's Frankenstein.
Could Trump accidentally save the country?
I mean, look, this is what the Clintons actually dreamed of all those years. Oh my God, how's this for a new QAnon conspiracy? The Clintons not only were right, there's a famous story, Bill Clinton and Donald Trump go golfing, and Bill Clinton convinces Trump to run in the Republican primary in 2016. And their reasoning back then was, this guy's such a buffoon, he's just gonna do damage to the Republican Party and we should be so lucky to run against him. Why? Because they had the mindset of, oh, the American people love the establishment. Because they genuinely believe it.
They're gonna love Hillary's hot sauce.
Oh, they're gonna love it. Okay, and what all the big speeches she gave for bankers, they're gonna eat that up with the hot sauce in her bag. So anyways, so the conspiracy theory there, which actually, this one has a good chance of being true, was that Bill Clinton talked him into it to be basically a political hand grenade inside the Republican Party. Now, my new layer to this conspiracy theory, which I do not believe, to be clear, but we'll take off on QAnon anyway, is that Hillary Clinton then lost to Trump on purpose so that Trump could have enough power in the Republican Party to detonate the bomb. And that's what he's doing right now. Oh, don't vote for Republicans. Sit out the elections, okay? Unless they do audits. No,
oh my
recounts,
God.
no hand recounts, no forensic audits.
Hillary and Trump are really Biffy and Buffy, best friends. Best friends, they pulled a fast one on the Republican Party.
Okay, I don't know why we're helping the Republicans, because then they'll believe that and go out and vote. Okay, but listen, if you're a Trump supporter and you think, unless it is microscopically forensic, done by the cyber ninjas, no wait. They also said Biden got more votes. The new cyber ninjas 2.0, that's it, we're sitting out all elections. Hey man, it's a free country. Hashtag freedom. Hashtag freedom, you do you. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.